Hey everybody, I have been searching around my house to try to find the best natural light because I didn't want to do this today and hop on live in, my filming room. I wanted to do this in natural light. So when you guys jump on, say hello. I hope you guys are having a great day. Today I want to share with you a few tips that I believe will make all the difference in your makeup application. I'm going to share with you some tips, whether you like, full coverage or you want really light coverage, or maybe it's somewhere in between. I'm going to share with you some great tips. If you want, or you're interested in a sort of like a summary of what I'm sharing today, just drop the comment BR, what did I say? BR24. And my robot will send you a summary of what I'm sharing here today. I hope you guys are doing good. Hey Janice, how's it going? Ladies, I am in the middle of getting ready to go to Vegas. We leave on Sunday. I'm super excited. I was just actually switching out my makeup palette. So I got this new palette design from Saint. I absolutely love it. And changing out my colors. I've added a few things in here in anticipation that I might get a little bit of sun when I'm there. So hey everybody, I hope you guys are doing well. Yes, I see you guys are dropping BR24 in the comments. I'll send you over a summary of what I'm talking about today. So I think I'll start with two really common questions that I get from all of you, which is, Erin, the makeup that you use, Saint 3D Cream Makeup, all in one, all of my makeup is within here. One of the questions that I get over and over and over again is, Erin, is it full coverage or is it light coverage? And the answer is, it's all of that and anywhere in between. I'm going to show you some tips on how you can achieve the coverage that you want. And I'm not sure if I'm alone. I don't think that I am. There are days where I want super light coverage. There are days where I need or want a little bit fuller coverage. What I love is I don't have to change my makeup, right? I don't have to grab a different foundation. I don't have to grab different products because I can achieve all of that on my light application days or my full coverage days, all from this same palette. What it really comes down to is the brushes that you choose. So today I'm going to show you, I'm going to do half of my face with really super light application, and the other side I'm going to do a fuller application and show you guys the differences in which brushes I use to achieve both of those. The second question that I get a lot is, well, Erin, do you use your palette? Like, what foundation do you use? And I get it. Saint has some different terminology. Like you may hear me talking about highlights. Your highlight, your main highlight, your accent highlight, your contour replaces your foundation. So when you're looking at this palette, it's all in one. The only thing that isn't in my palette is my mascara. So I will show you how easy it is to use this, regardless if you are, a full application or full coverage type of a girl, or whether you're somebody that just likes to keep it easy, or maybe you're like me and I like having the flexibility of doing all of that without having to buy different makeup. I don't want to have to buy different makeup. That's expensive. I want all of it in one, which is one of the things that I absolutely love about my palette. Yeah, I'm changing this up. I just was working on this last night, kind of picking the shades that I want to take with me to Vegas. All right, step one, and I've already done this. Sorry, I have done my eyes. I've put a little bit of eyeshadow on. I've put mascara on, and I've put, I grabbed this liner, guys. What is this from? This is from Rimmel. It's from Rimmel. It's called Lasting Finish Lip Liner, and it's in the color, oh Lord, I can't even see, Cappuccino. So I just put a little bit of line, I lined underneath here and on the top of my lips, and then I used, guys, this is one of my favorites. Diamonds Are Forever. This is from Saint as well. Diamonds Forever lipstick. So that's all I have on my face. But what I did do before I hopped on here is I used Saint's new Prep, what do they call it? Plush Prep Mist. This stuff is a freaking bomb. If you don't have it, drop the word BR24. I'm going to send you the link to everything that I'm talking about, including this. So I spray this on my face after my skincare in the morning. It has hyaluronic acid, it has caffeine. So the hyaluronic acid is going to help with moisturization. The caffeine is going to help to plump. And then it has the tiniest little tackiness, like not a lot, but it gives your makeup something to grab onto. So if you struggle with your makeup staying put, I would absolutely look at the Plush Prep Mist. It's awesome. So that's all I have on my face. All right. Like I said, this side of my face, I'm going to do a super light application. The two brushes that I would, if you're only looking for two brushes, okay, and that's totally cool. You can actually do this makeup with one brush. Today, I'm focusing on the two brushes that I would get if I like light coverage, if I like medium coverage, or if I like full coverage, okay? My two brushes that I would recommend for you if you love light application is the Shape brush. This brush is one of my top three. I use this every single day. The Shape brush and the Smudge brush. The Smudge brush is actually an eyeshadow brush, but I love the domed ends, and they're slightly different, each end, to get into the fine points around my eyes, because I prefer keeping my product around my eyes really light, meaning I don't mean in color. I mean in the amount of product that I'm placing, because I have a lot of fine lines, thin skin underneath my eyes like many of us do. So using a small brush like this to get into the corners is really ideal. So if you like really light application, light coverage, these two brushes, the Shape brush and the Smudge brush. You don't have to write this down. You don't have to remember it. Just drop BR24 and I'll drop all of this into your inbox. If you're typically like a medium coverage type of a girl, these are the two brushes that I started out with when I first started wearing Saint. I mean, all of our brushes are double-ended. They are the best brushes on the market, hands down. And you're getting like 2-in-1 because they're all double-ended. This is the blush and bronzer brush. This is the detail brush. These two, if you like a medium coverage, is a really great place to start. And then if you like full coverage, or you want an option to have full coverage, pick up the Buff brush, B-U-F-F, okay? And if you're only picking two, and you're a full application type of a girl, full coverage, the Buff brush, and then picked up, again, that Smudge brush to be able to get into the corner of your eye. What I find with the Buff brush is it's really great for everywhere else. I just have a bit of a hard time getting into the smaller points of my face with this brush. That's why I like to pair it with the Smudge brush. All right. So, all right, let's start. For reference, as a general rule, let me grab two brushes to show you the difference. As a general rule, when you look at brushes, and maybe you don't have Saint brushes, why not? But if you don't, okay. When you look at a brush, typically the denser the brush and the bristles are, do you see how packed these bristles are? They're short, they're tight. This type of a brush is going to give you a fuller coverage versus a brush that has loose, fluffy bristles. Okay, general rule, not just with Saint, with all brushes. Hey, good morning, how are you? So if you're just jumping on, I'm talking about different types of application coverage, and I'm going to show you. So let's get to it because I don't want to keep you guys for too long. And I'm going to do this really quick. I am standing in front of a natural window. I do not have any artificial light. I'm sorry if it's echoey in here. I'm in my bathroom. So if I'm using, or if I'm going for a light application, I moved everything around in here. If I'm going for a light application day, I'm just taking the big end of my Shape brush. And first I look at my face where I have the most discoloration. For me, it's typically around my cheeks. So do you see how I stippled it on there? This is an application, so an application tip. So in addition to the brush you choose, the way you apply it will impact the coverage that you get. Stippling a product on versus dragging or swirling, that stippling is going to give you more coverage. So all I do, even on my light application days, is I start with the area where I want more coverage, and then I take that same brush, the areas that I really am less concerned about, I'm just swirling it very lightly. And tip for you guys, do you see when I'm dropping this in here, I'm tapping it. I'm not dragging and pulling because you don't need a lot of product. With Saints 3D Cream Makeup, it is highly pigmented, which is one of the reasons why I love it so much, because I don't need a lot of product. I hate the feeling of caked on makeup, and I think most of us do. So I don't think I'm alone in that. So I'm just going in very lightly in the areas where I just want to kind of smooth out my skin tone. This is my light application, right? Now I'm going to grab that smaller smudge brush and I'm going to go into my accent. We call it an accent highlight. If you're new to Saint, consider this like your concealer or anywhere where you want to add a little bit of brightness. Typically when I color match you, I'm going to match you to a main highlight shade. Think of that. That's the one I just put on. Think of that like your foundation color. And an accent highlight, which is the one that I'm using right now, that's going to be in place of your concealer, and you're going to use it anywhere where you want to lighten and brighten your face. So on a very light, let me see, I'm looking in my mirror. On a very light application day, all I did was I touched up the areas where I was more concerned about by stippling it on, and then I took that shape brush and I just swirled it everywhere else, right? This is like literally, if you're doing this on your own, ladies, this is going to take you a minute, 2 minutes. And then maybe I might just do a little bit of bronzer. Maybe I'll do a little bit of cheek color. I'm just going to go into Bella. This is one of my favorite cream bronzers. And I'm just going to lightly dust it. You'll notice I didn't even do contour on my light application side, right? And it's not because contour can't be done in a light application. It absolutely can. I'm just giving you options. So I like going in a C around my eyes and then maybe down here, okay? You can put a little bit on your nose if you like, but that is it. Let me grab a lip and cheek. I'll put a tiniest little bit. This is Desert Sunset, this one right here. You can see I use it all the time. And I'm just gonna put the tiniest little bit on my cheeks. So if you love a light application, you can absolutely get it with this palette. Pick up the shape brush. I would recommend that you pick up the smudge brush. You could also use this for your eyeshadow as well. But it is fab to be able to get into those smaller spaces, okay? So very light, very natural application, totally easy. All right, let's go on to the other side. I grabbed the buff brush, B-U-F-F, okay? Drop the word BR24 and I will send you all of this in the links for all of these that I'm using today. So I am gonna contour. I'm gonna go in with the smaller end, and it really doesn't matter. Yeah, I'm gonna go in with the smaller end. I'm gonna go into one of my contour shades. You'll notice I have multiple contour shades. I have multiple highlight shades. That's just because I like all the things. Many of my clients that start out, okay, I grabbed a very warm, do you see how warm that contour is? This is called, what is it? Is this Cedar? Hold on one second. No, this is Fiji, sorry. This is Fiji. And Fiji is actually a highlight shade. I'm just using it as a contour. I'm gonna drop it here underneath my cheekbones. And you'll notice with the buff brush, I'm stippling and pushing that into my skin. When I put contour on, I like to place it and then leave it while I do the rest, because what it helps to do is it helps to warm up the product, and then I'll blend it out in a second. So I just took it underneath my chin to chisel out my jawline. If you have loose jowls, and we all get them as we age, or often we do, we tend to find where this skin starts to sag a little bit, right? By taking your contour, let me dip into this other one. By taking your contour and going right underneath your jawline, you are creating, we all have shadows. Naturally, we all have shadows, but we're deepening that shadow that already exists so that some people call it snatch, snatch your jawline, you know, pop your cheekbones, all the things, okay? Now I'm going to go over to the larger end of that dense buff brush, and I'm going to tap into my main foundation shade. Today I'm using, I think this is Hazel. I'm using Hazel. And do you remember with the shape brush, I just swirled over here, right? If I want fuller coverage, I'm going to stipple and push this into my skin. And it doesn't mean that I'm using more product. Like, I don't have to use more product on the full application side. It's just the brush and how I'm applying it, right? So I'm gonna stipple this on, and ladies, the sun is starting to come in here pretty good. So I may not be able to see what I'm actually doing. I'm looking into my phone, which is a little bit more challenging. So forgive me if it looks crazy, because I can't really see what I'm doing. Can't really see what I'm doing. So I am just pushing and stippling that product to get a more full coverage versus what I did on the other side. I'm really careful to avoid putting too much product underneath my eye, because that philosophy of us with mature skin having loose, fine, thin skin under our eyes is applicable whether you're putting on a light application or whether you're putting on, fuller application. The one thing I'm going to do is I like taking this small, I have a pretty good sunspot there. I like taking the smudge brush and I drop into one of my highlight shades. Let me see if I can do this here. It's easier to look into my mirror in my palette than on my phone, so hold tight. So I'm not putting it all over. I'm just placing that darker highlight shade over that sunspot. One of the mistakes I used to make before switching over to Saint, which was 3 years ago, is thinking that if I want to lighten an area, I need to put lighter shades on. And that's actually the opposite. So if you have sun damage and there's certain areas that you're looking to cover, instead of trying to lighten it and brighten it with a light shade, try something darker, because it will do a much better job. It'll do a much better job in actually lightening it. Now, I know I have not blended this out, so I know if you're just jumping on, you're like, Erin, it looks crazy. And that's okay. I'm just going to blend it out in a second. So same thing, I'm taking my brightening shade, and I'm not really putting on any more here than I did on my light application side. I'm placing it in the same spots. I'm using that same brush, the smudge brush, to place the smallest amount of product. The only difference that I did on this side under my eye was I took more of my main highlight shade and stippled it further up onto my under eye area to get more coverage than I have on this side, okay? And then what I would do, actually, I want to do some bronzer, okay? I do like having this big fluffy end. I'll blend this out first. Hold on one second. So do you see the contour was up along the top? I just feathered it down to blend it in. And then when you do the same with your contour underneath your cheekbone, and just feather it up. You don't want to pull that shadow down to this part of your face. You just want to feather it up. And you don't want an obvious line. You just want to create that illusion of a shadow. Okay, so this blush and bronzer brush, like the fluffy end here, this is going to help me really control how much of that bronzer I'm putting onto my face. Okay, because it's fluffy and light. If your neck is considerably lighter than your face, just take that brush and pull it down really super lightly. And then let me put on that same, why don't I put on a bolder cheek? I have to film later today, so I may have to fix this because I'm gonna have two different sides of my face. Let me go into Madrid. This is one of my faves. So as far as blush placement, it's really up to you, ladies. There are ways to manipulate the look of your face based on where you're putting your blush. typically, as a general rule, you want to put it right above where that contour went and then blended it out. If you're looking to achieve a fuller looking cheek, then bring the blush closer to the apples of your cheek, okay? So if you want a full, I'm gonna blend this out, hold tight. If you want to create a fuller looking cheek, then just bring that closer to the apples. If you want to lift your face, create the illusion of a lift, then dab that blush all the way up here. So you're sort of sweeping it up. The only thing that I would suggest to you guys, sometimes when women are trying to achieve that lifted look, they just do it like from here up. And when you're looking at somebody, you're three-dimensional, right? Whether you're looking at somebody and they're looking at you from your face from this side, like this, or like this, you want it to be cohesive. So when you're applying your makeup, even if you want that lift, make sure you are bringing it down and, just sort of blending it into the rest of your look, okay? So do you see the difference? I mean, I have placed a more prominent blush here. I think I need to blend this out. Yeah, I need to blend it out. And then this is very light, like almost like I have no makeup on at all, right? Really easy. This took me, 2 minutes, a minute if I wasn't talking to you guys. What I would do is make sure that you're just feathering out and softening any lines. If you've placed a lighter shade underneath your eye, just take your brush and feather it down like this. But here's my last tip for you. I always finish with a setting spray. And what I would recommend, especially for those of us that have mature skin, take a beauty blender, like a damp beauty blender, and then spray it onto your beauty blender. This is Saint's new Fixate, their new Fixate setting spray. I absolutely love it. If you have problems with your makeup staying, any makeup, whether you use Saint or otherwise, that Fixate setting spray is fab. So I'm just taking a damp beauty blender with my setting spray and I'm tapping it all over my face. What this is gonna help to do is to pick up any excess. If I have put on too much, which, as I said, I'm looking in the mirror, or looking into my phone, I can't even tell what I'm doing because the sun is so bright out there. But this helps to set your makeup, but also to pick up any excess that you've put on, and it will give you the most beautiful finish. So don't skip that step. Don't skip the Fixate setting spray and the damp perfector sponge as your last step. It will help keep your makeup looking beautiful all day, and it will give you just this beautiful natural finish. Okay? I hope those tips helped you guys. All the different brushes that I would recommend, if you haven't yet, drop BR24 in the comments. I'll send you just a summary of everything that I just shared today. All right? You guys have a great day. Take care.